It's another day here on Breakfast Central. Welcome and thank you so much for joining us. So come along as we take you for the next 3 hours on a journey, taking a look at some of the very interesting, I would say, very insightful stories and conversations that we'll be looking at here on Breakfast Central, on News Central, on a Thursday morning. I am Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga Bora. You're welcome to Breakfast Central this beautiful Thursday morning in the city of Lagos. The skies have cleared, so we're not expecting showers these days. Today, maybe much later, at least this morning, it's not raining. It's been raining for a few days. And when it rains in Lagos, it pours. And a lot of people have been, apprehensive about going out. I saw tweets yesterday saying, look, if you're wherever you are, just stay there, because you know what happens when it rains, flooding and traffic. But hopefully we'll sort that out. But you're welcome to Breakfast Central. We have a bumper package for you as always. So many things to discuss, so many policies to dissect and look at. So sit back, relax, grab your coffee, and welcome aboard. Yes.
That's right. Anyway, as usual, we'd like all our viewers to please feel free, drop a comment or two, tell us what you think about the stories that we're going to dissect here today. And not just that, please feel free to also stream live, because we're streaming live on YouTube. We do have our regulars who are always there on YouTube watching, and those who do not drop a comment or two but are always there watching. And thank you so much as well to some of our viewers who are not from the South or watching from the South. I mean, shout out to those from the South. We also want to say thank you for watching, especially those from the Middle Belt. Ever since we had the town hall, there were conversations where many persons who lived within the Middle Belt or in the Middle Belt have continued to praise News Central for what they've done, making sure that they
very well deserved.
Yeah, very well deserved. Very well deserved. I remember I got some messages as well concerning that. But let's now go straight into our usual, which is our first salvo here on Breakfast Central, and that's what we call wake-up conversations. For those who are just waking up, come. Let's dissect these stories from yesterday night or from a few hours back. And the very first one we're going to look at has got to do with the governor of a state who had come out in public during a press briefing where he had present a very interesting conversation with people from different walks of life, including the press. The media was there, and he mentioned categorically that he will stop banditry and insurgency in Zamfara state if he is given the opportunity to do so. Now, he didn't just say so, he also mentioned how he was going to do it. How? Well, if you ask me, he simply said that he knows where the bandits are in the bush. Yes, that's Governor Dauda Lawal. He says he knows where the bandits are in the bush, and he can actually track them on his phone. And he brought out his phone and said he knows when they're leaving and when they're coming. For us here on Breakfast Central, we felt that was too much of an information and a very strong statement to make, especially in a country that's bedeviled with insecurity. And we felt that it was high time that the security chiefs swung into action, call him and say, good, since you have this information, now let's see how we're going to make it happen.
Why don't you share the information with security operators?
Exactly. Why don't you share the information? And secondly, why didn't you talk to us first before you went ahead to carry out a press conference or to do a press conference? And then there's another aspect of it. He did say in that press briefing that he doesn't have the powers to carry it out because the powers come from Abuja, the Federal Capital Territory.
Presidency.
And if the presidency gives him the opportunity, but it seems like he mentioned, he's not given, he's not allowed to do it. And that also sparked a different conversation, Winga, on another aspect.
Are we playing politics?
Are we playing politics?
Insecurity.
Exactly.
But let's take a listen to what the governor said, and then we'll also take reactions.
Sannan duka yau ba ya wata biyu ba na so sababbin motoci guda 150 na raba ma jami'an tsaro duk da Bazanya Sasuba, Bazanya Naso.
I mean, Joe did explain
Yeah.
the content of that video earlier, and it's led to lots of debate that why are you telling us? You should be telling the security operatives and the political aspect. Is it because he is a PDP governor? Is that why the government is not forthcoming in reacting to his accusations and to act on the information the governor, I'm sure, is willing to provide the location of those bandits so security operatives can deal with them?
Well, that's one thing, and then we'll find out. But others have come in his defense. We've had other politicians who have said that he possibly was just, Governor Dauda was just speaking out of frustration, out of trying to ensure that he brings sanity and safety to the people of Zamfara State.
Emotions and frustration.
Yes, hence why he made those statements and such claims. And you would wonder if truly one is speaking out of frustration. Yes, that could lead one to speak that way in the manner in which he spoke. But then again, there's also what we know as accountability. If you are accountable and you say that you're accountable and you know how to, in other words, you've pushed the responsibility right on the front.
I mean, constitutionally, he's the chief security officer of the state.
Of course, he is. And therefore, he's saying, listen, I can do this. So what we hear currently is that the security operatives better still have called on the governor, and we do hear that there's been allegedly been a 7-day ultimatum that's been given to him. But we'll wait and see how true this is, and we'll also wait to see if there's a possibility that he will be meeting with security operatives or chiefs to discuss how he's able to, watch them, understand when they're leaving, when they're coming back, and so on and so forth. And if it happens to be so that all the things that Governor Dauda said is true, then I think that Nigeria should be grateful for it, because it seems like someone has decided to do the critical job for the security chiefs. And if he claims to have all of that information and data, then it's high time for the security chiefs to, bring him in,
you can share the
work with him,
with the security operatives, and they can do something about it. Another thing is maybe it's psychological warfare for those bandits. By making this announcement, they might be on the run and they will be jittery about their operations, knowing that the governor knows where they are. So they might have to change tactics or leave the state entirely. It could be psychological. So we'll wait and see how things go. Yeah.
Well, let's wait and see. Sometimes I always ask myself that, is it so hard a thing? We know it's difficult. It's difficult to fight insurgency, insecurity, because it's not just a Nigerian problem. It's also, we've seen it in the corridors of West Africa. There are few states where we have bordering the same, same borders, sharing borders, and so on. And we've always said, even security experts have said that Nigeria's borders are very porous in terms of penetration, entry, going out, and so on and so forth. But then again, I thought to myself, would it be also wrong if the North forms its own security front?
Similar to a security outfit similar to Amotekun, like what they have in the Southwest.
That's it.
Yes.
So all the North come together, all the Northern state governors sit together and say, listen, we cannot just wait for the presidency, or we can't wait for the national security. Those of us in the sub-nationals, those of us who are the governors, let's all come together. Let's have a region by region. Let's form the security. Let's empower them. Let's ensure that we also have control of who is in charge and so on. In that way, along the borderlines, they're able to say, okay, fine. They have a particular security operative running this particular borderline. This might be exempting from what we have from the police and the army and so on. But then again, they can work in tandem.
It's actually more manpower. But they currently have civilian JTF, but I don't know how effective that is. And that's why Mr. President has put the suggestion of state policing on the table. But then it depends on who's going to fund them, what's going to be their mode of operation. There's still so many modalities to be worked out. But currently, the insurgents won't wait for you to pass legislation on that. We have a clear present danger of bandits and terrorism in Nigeria. And we need security operatives, whatever, by any means necessary to get on top of the situation, step up and end this, because every loss of life is a tragedy to the nation.
All right. Let's move to another story this time. It made the rounds yesterday. Senator Orji Uzor Kalu made a video that's been trending on social media. Now, earlier on, there were statements made online, especially from netizens and the likes, that the president, during his administration as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has also seen former past, be it ministers or senators, current sitting senators and so on, like the man you see there, who happens to be
also a former governor.
Yes, a former governor, Orji Uzor Kalu. You know, they've come out to be more outspoken compared to some previous administrations where there was quiet, peace and quiet from some of these former governors, as it were. Well, amidst the entire conversation online, this video popped up showing his home, his property, his house. Well, let's just watch. Let's watch. Just watch the entire video, and then you get the gist of what we're saying.
Hello, my wonderful people. This very weekend, Chinedu Anichiti took a journey to Potomac in Maryland, where we met the Igbo billionaire, former governor of Abia State, former chief whip of Nigerian Senate, former this, former that, and senator representing Abia North senatorial district in Abia State, Nigeria. There's no other person but Senator Orji Uzor Kalu. This is his home in Potomac in Maryland. This house you see is the house he has acquired years before becoming governor, years before stepping into politics in Nigeria. So the lesson we want to bring about this is not just to show he's not the type that shows his beauty, but you can see now, he can show where he is living. He can show this house to the public because he acquired it before he assumed public office. And this is not just, he has in Texas, he has in North Carolina, he has in different places, he has in UK. You can see him. He took me around the mansion. I saw by myself. I saw that this is the $1 billion investment.
Well, I've seen the video of Chinedu Anichiti. Everything he says about the video is correct. It's just that house I bought, I own a house in Boston, Massachusetts, 19/21 Fessenden Street in Mattapan, Boston, Massachusetts. I sold it and I put the money to buy where I live now in Washington, D.C. It was the same house Obasanjo was hailing when I was governor in 2003, and the U.S. authorities also came and looked at it when President Bush was president, and in the same house. So Chinedu Anichiti was right. I sold my house 19/21 Fessenden Street. It's not the first time I'm saying the story. And buy that house. Although Chinedu Anichiti didn't ask me when the house was bought, but he just reported. What he reported was correct. I bought it before I became governor because it was proceeds of the house in Mattapan, Boston, that I used in buying the house. And it was properly declared in my declaration. Houses are in my name, and I never bought it to hide from anybody that I own the house. It's just that he said I bought it before I became governor. I bought it in 2003. That was when I bought the house in Washington. I just wanted this to be clear in the public record. So we will continue looking for what we are looking. The people who will jump up tomorrow to say anything are not welcome to this matter because 19/21 Fessenden Street in Mattapan in Massachusetts was my house. I sold it and bought it later. We had some change. Thank you very much. I just wanted to clear Chinedu because I saw what he did. He never asked me questions on when I bought my house. It's good to take the responsibility. Thank you.
Okay, I bet our viewers are wondering why the back and forth and why we've gone back and forth concerning this story. But then again, I think it's self-explanatory.
Yeah, but there's still more to it.
There's still more to that, you know.
So let's take the whole thing and then we'll come back for reaction.
All right, let's take a look at some of the fact checks, by the way. And then we'll come back and look at every single thing that everyone is saying here or concerning this.
Concerning the house in Maryland.
Anyway, there you have it. That's a fact check. It shows the name, real property, data search. You know, people have time, so they will take time and do the research. Okay, so owner's name, Kalu Aja et al. Date 2003.
Yeah, 26th of June.
Yes. 2003. Okay, so the location and so on and so forth. That's pretty much one of the fact check. Another one is Nigerian authorities accused Uzo Kalu of embezzling $24 million allegedly diverting funds to a family-owned company, while Nigeria Supreme Court overturned this conviction on procedural grounds on May 8, 2020. These findings raised new concerns about whether misappropriated public funds were used to acquire U.S. assets. Okay, this article goes on to say that our recent investigations also highlights a whole lot. But then again, let's look at the circled space there. Take note that the former governor, Senator Uzo Kalu, acquired most of his U.S. properties through an American company he founded in the final days of his governorship, which he co-owned with his 2 minor children at the time. As his corruption trial advanced in 2014, he transferred many of these properties to SLOC LLC, an American entity, similarly an affiliate of his family conglomerate and a named defendant in the Nigerian government's corruption case. During this period, Uzo Kalu's relatives, beneficiaries of SLOC Holdings, spent an additional $2.3 million on U.S. properties, including the Lakeside Mansion near Houston. Governor Uzo Kalu and his brother also jointly purchased properties during this time. So it seems that no action was taken by Nigerian authorities. That's what the article there also says. But then again, price history in 2025, listing removed. There you have everything. Listing removed, $10,000 per month, 1 square. Just everything. But the thing is, you have the sources there. So the source, Bright MLS. You have Zillow Rentals. You also have all of that. And don't forget, he said he sold the property in that video. That he used the money.
Sold the property in Boston to
buy
the one in Maryland.
Yeah, in Maryland. But why are we bringing all of this? Why is all of this online? Well, that's because this story was hot as of yesterday. And it's hot because of one of the research articles you saw there, where Nigerians also reacted to it. So let's see the reactions from Nigerians. And like Benga said, that we can look at it holistically. Let's see some of the reactions. Voice of Conscience says, Uzo Kalu hired the man to sell the lies that he bought his properties before becoming the governor. Meanwhile, his corruption case is still with EFCC. Benga.
Interesting. Kasim Ishola says, please tag me with the name of the man doing the narration. I will look for the addresses of the house and tag FBI. That house will be taken away from Uzo Kalu because the money for the house came from taxpayers' money. And the narrator will definitely be an accomplice.
Okay.
Champagne Glass says, and the only job he ever had was being a politician in Nigeria. Do you know how much this adds to the U.S. real estate market value chain? And do you think America would ever want good governance in Nigeria and other African countries where questionable funds are used by politicians to acquire and maintain these structures? Okay. Nigerians. Okay, we're special. The same Uzo Kalu that was already serving a 12-year jail sentence for corruption but was let off the hook because of technicality and man no man. Now, narrator, they blew lies about property you owned before politics. Nariwa, says Daddy Aliyah. Aujale says, what is he going to do with all these houses? His children will build their own to their taste. He can't establish a food bank, water supply, good roads, or small hospital in his community. He accumulates wealth as if he'll use it in the afterlife. Here, you can't tell if someone is rich. They volunteer and donate everywhere. These rich people in Africa are descendants of slave merchants, so the money trickles down. Interesting. I take there from Aujale. So these are some of the reactions we have, and good thing that we live in a digital world now. So if you say something, they're not going to take your word for it. They'll take it with a pinch of salt, and they have the tools and mechanism to verify and fact check. So we live in an open source world. There's information everywhere. So the moral of the story is, please don't take Nigerians or anybody for a ride. People can always verify information. And in other climes, you don't even need to invoke an freedom of information request. This listings are publicly available, just as long as you have connection to the internet. Yeah,
and that's right, and that's right, and that's exactly what we saw with some who had decided to go online and fish out this information. But then again, there are key facts, and the key indicators are: when did the governor or former governor, when did he become governor of Abia State? What year? And when did his time elapse? Remember, he had 2 terms. Okay, so if you look at from I think 1999, I remember 1999, the house was bought in 2003.
So how do you say it was before you became governor?
Can you see?
And the facts are
there. The facts are there. How do you say you got it before you became governor? That's impossible.
Yeah, but you could argue.
But then again, you can argue, yes,
in Boston, like he said.
And then sold.
And then he sold it. And the money he used to purchase this house was from proceeds from the sale of the house in Boston, Massachusetts.
Absolutely. So
we also need to find out when he bought that house in Boston, Massachusetts. I guess, and that would give us what we're looking for.
That definitely would do so. But Nigerians are not in any way taking it with a pinch of salt. Their grievance is that this is a governor, and it's a replica of what they've seen other politicians do, which is rob from Peter to pay Paul. Now they're kind of like insinuating that this is exactly what the former governor had done, which is rob from Peter to pay Paul. And in this case, Peter happens to be, like many have said, taxpayers' money. And this is nothing new, especially within the political space, because we've heard, we have the case of the Ziani man. Remember the Ziani case, which is still ongoing, one of the biggest that Nigeria has ever witnessed. And then you also have situations where you have a governor or a former governor or a sitting governor has properties in different parts of the world. And that's why Nigerians are wondering, is politics...
and then things at home, back home, you can see the peace and tranquility he's enjoyed in what's this location again? In the U.S. And then you go back to the senatorial district, Abia North, and see the conditions the ordinary people are living there. That's why I'm questioning the motivation for this video in the first place. Not the second video of him clarifying. The young man that was, doing MTV
the video. Yeah, that's the guy.
He's a public figure. You know how sensitive things are at this point in time. And then you're showing off the former governor, the current senator's mansion where he lives, and you know the condition of things back home. So what's the essence? And at the end of the day, it's just, you expect celebrities and musicians to be doing this. There used to be a show called MTV Cribs, where
Cribs
artist takes the reporter around the house. Is boastful. So what is this meant to be some sort of achievement?
I also think this video didn't come at the right time, especially looking at the fact that the same person, the former governor, the senator, has a case with the EFCC, which seems to have died down.
He had already started serving a jail term.
Before,
it was struck out because of technicalities. So knowing the background and knowing the sort of history this person has, and you still go ahead to, I mean, look at that massive mansion. How many people can even, how many rooms will be occupied? And
Well,
then,
remember that
I wonder what the people of Abia North feel about this, because he's the senator representing that constituency. So they're in a better position to address this, but not a good look from my end.
Well, don't forget that some will argue that the former governor was actually an Oga or headed the First International Bank Limited just at the age of 33.
Yes, he's also the owner of Sun newspaper.
Exactly.
And he owned the defunct Slock Airlines.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
and
he's been a very famous
some of the properties were also bought under
got
the
into
Slock,
corruption,
you know, and so on. So,
but before he got into politics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So many would say that his story is not really clear. Could it be that he made his money truly and really from some of these businesses he owned? Be it apart from the newspaper, there's also the situation of him being, like I said, the bank. So could it be that he made money
as a private citizen?
As a private citizen before he got into
but
politics?
he could make money as a private citizen and then make more money as governor. I mean, these things can, two things can be right.
I agree.
But I guess the fact checkers will have to do more investigation in finding out when he bought the house in Boston, Massachusetts, because this house in Maryland was bought in 2003 and was already governor in 2003.
Yeah, it was already governor. That's it. Anyway, Nigerians, take it easy. Let's do more research before we cry wolf, because that's exactly what we saw on social media. But then again, these are the things that we see. But then again, we need to also be very, very certain that the fact-checking is indeed correct. Maybe that's where
your sources are right, yes.
Yes, this is where the journalists will throw their hats in and say, listen, let's dig deep. But I'm sure Binga doesn't have that time, neither do I. If not, possibly we'll take that time to do so. But let's leave that aside. Let's go to a ministry, one ministry that I call the most problematic ministry in the history of Nigeria's democracy.
Why do you say it's problematic?
I would say so, Benga. This same ministry has been taunted with missing money or monies.
And Nigerians will be wondering, what ministry are you talking about?
In short, it's like, this morning, yesterday rather, when I saw the story, I laughed. I said, I think I have another name for this ministry. It should be the home of confusion and corruption.
And it's a very sensitive ministry.
It's a very sensitive ministry. It's actually the Ministry of Women Affairs. And remember that everyone who has worked under this ministry, there's always issue. There's one issue or the other. Anyway, yesterday wasn't any different. News Central was there at the premises of the Ministry of Women Affairs, where the minister, who happens to be a new minister, who had just replaced the former minister,
who was let go because
of
corruption allegations.
Exactly. Yes. The FCC said she had 136 million naira missing. She needed to come and explain. We're talking about former minister Uju Kennedy, who has now branched into Nollywood. She's now acting movies.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes, she's now into Nollywood. She's acting movies now. And that's her, she's also a presidential candidate for the APC, the first woman presidential candidate.
She stepped down for the
yes,
current
who
president.
stepped down for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But she was, many have said she was, in other words, compensated with the Ministry of Women Affairs, of which when she started, there seemed to have been a lot of drama around her.
She was always in the news.
She was always in the news. She was ready to talk tough.
Figure.
I mean, which wasn't bad at all. People said, yes, you need an outspoken woman. But then again, many felt it went too far. Remember when they had an event and she stormed the event and told them to scatter everything and stop that event, that she never gave approval. And where did they get the money from? And so on and so forth. Not one. You know, there was another situation again, and then people would reach out to her.
She was always in the forefront.
Yes, she was there. Do you think she did too much?
I mean, people have different methods, but did she fulfill the mandate of the ministry? It's one thing to do performative, tokenistic things. It's another thing to, you know, really have an impact that would that would affect the majority and generality of the people. But let's take a listen to what went down in Abuja yesterday with the new Minister of Women Affairs.
Giving a piece of paper to write it. We don't have. And most of the time, you do official assignment with your personal money. She told us that she's not accountable to us. She's accountable to Mr. President. Like we should go and meet permanent secretary in anything we need.
This woman refused to meet with the staff. We have taken unnecessary steps, a year endurance. The beauty of democracy is to have access to your leader. This woman thinks that she's more special than us. Every Nigerian on the streets is a potential president. She comes with legion of essay. She has more than 25 essays. What we want, if possible, should be posted to another ministry.
Well, in case you're wondering who they're talking about, it seems the Ministry of Women Affairs is now missing former Minister Uju Kennedy Ohane, because right now this is a new minister on board who they're talking about, and that is Hajia Iman Sulaiman Ibrahim. That's a face there. She took over after former Minister Uju was let go. But you could hear the complaints about her. They say she has 25 SAs.
And the essays are working, because immediately after this incident happened, one of the essays released a statement on behalf of a minister saying, you know, she's trying her best to, she's listened to the plight of the people, and you expect her to come out and address the workers and address their grievances there.
She doesn't talk to them.
Yeah, so
that she's high up there.
She's on the level of the president.
That when she comes, they can't see her.
With presidents and our fellow ministers.
That they use their money to work. There's no paper, no pen to even work in the office. That when she comes in, she looks around
then
and she
again,
shows up.
I mean, looking at how the civil service works, the minister is up there. You have directors, you have a permanent secretary. Is it the duty of the honorable minister to provide provisions and all these issues? There's a budgeting system. It's not the minister that would remove 10,000 naira and say, please go buy provisions, go buy stationery and all of that. So I really don't understand why these... I mean, I understand leadership. You need to interact with the people you work with. But why they need to see her every day and interact with her? Go out and do your work as a civil servant.
But they're saying they cannot do their work because they do not have...
Yeah, so they should take it up with their permanent secretary and their directors of departments.
Now, look at them here when they left, when they sacked former Minister Uju Kennedy. They were celebrating. Let's listen, just watch this video.
It's like human nature, Nigerian nature. Be careful what you wish for. Yes, be very careful.
It's like a movie script. Did you hear that lady say, thank God, oh, thank God, oh, hey,
and now there's a new minister that is the complete opposite. She's camera shy of the former minister, and you're still complaining that you are not seeing her, she doesn't talk to you. I really hope that they can do an appraisal for the workers in the Ministry of Women Affairs. They need to look at their KPIs. If they've met it, they need to do promotional exams, because it looks like they have so many free time in their hands.
Let's see reactions. But let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly. What were her achievements as the Minister of Police Affairs? A Ministry of Women that no impact has been felt. Even the state commissioners silence except the lady in Anambra, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that's the former one. So it's asking what they're doing. This ministry, like I said it.
That's what
you know. That's what I said. I'm like, this ministry always. Okay. By the way,
I mean,
the
like
former
you
minister
said,
has gone to Nollywood now.
So he's not far from
she's gone to Nollywood, so she started her acting career. By the way, anyway, anytime you see civil servants behaving like this, Anytime you see civil servants behaving like this, is because
they've closed their stealing business. They've blocked one source of chopping money.
So those civil servants, no more.
Exactly. That's why I said they should.
So they are not happy.
They should even do an appraisal and see if they are meeting their KPIs. Those civil servants themselves.
There's drama. There's drama in this city.
And maybe for once they should. I know it would lead to a lot of backlash, like you said. Let's try a male minister for women affairs and see if things will change. After all, men work in the ministry.
After all, women become football coaches too. They coach men, and same thing, men.
And no one has said a woman can't be minister of sports. So
nobody has said so.
Let's try that.
But then again, Benga, that will be going too far. But what I just want to say is,
but their grievances are very pedestrian and basic. I don't understand why you need to. What do you want to use her face for? Look at her picture. She needs to talk. She's talking to her directors and permanent secretary. That's fine. All these other issues are mundane. She's not the one
not feeling anything. Like nothing is happening. And let's be honest too.
Maybe programs.
But let's be honest.
Impact of the
what
ministry.
Have we really heard from that ministry?
So the minister would drive policy. Yes, maybe our directors aren't giving her ideas. I think the whole ministry should be overhauled. That's why I said that ministry again.
But why don't we even have Ministry of Men Affairs?
Men are already, it's a man's world, like they say. So we don't need a ministry.
So men don't need any ministry.
Dear men.
Yeah. Let's talk.
But honestly, it's something we should look at. But I guess Ministry of Youth and Sports.
No, that's for youth.
It's for sports.
So
and it's for youth.
It's gender. It has no gender bias. It's just for every. But I just want to highlight, just to wrap things up, that for those in the Ministry of Women Affairs, you may have some type of, grouse with the current minister, but remember that the broom you use to flog the first minister is the same broom you want to use, or the cane to flog this second one. If it happens way too many times, it shows that the problem might not even lie with the ministers.
Or maybe it's the people,
the personnel in that ministry that have problems. But their grievance is also clear that they don't even have anything to work with, no working tools, no so on, that they even use their money to do the job. And I think that is something that the governor, or better still, let's say the governor, the president, better still in quotes, beg your pardon, should look into. Because that ministry is always filled with one story.
I really wish today is one of those days that I wish Olive was around. It would be nice to hear her take.
Who,
as
Olive,
a woman.
right?
Yes, on the issues of her gender and the Minister of her gender. So,
oh my goodness!
Shout out to Olive.
Yeah, that's all. Anyway, that's all on Wake Up Conversations. We've looked at these stories, and what a way to bring it down. Ministry of Women Affairs. Even the women cannot manage the affairs of the child.
I wish we had the press statement of one of the aides of the 25
I think we'll get that during the course of the show.
Program.
Anyway, let's bring to you what our top stories are on a Thursday morning here on Breakfast Central on News Central. Thursday morning on Breakfast Central, high-tech malpractice in UTME. We'll look at that, especially when we have the chairman joining us. Concerns mount over Nigeria's rising debt profile, poor project decisions, and don't forget to, many Nigerians are complaining, stop the campaigns, many people say, including stakeholders, and focus on governance. That's a story to look into. We'll also look at lawmakers' finance ministry review, 2024-2025 performance of Nigeria's budget implementation. And the front pages of the newspapers at 9 a.m. Make sure you tune in and join us and call in as well. We'll be right back to kick in. Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's turn our focus to a developing story that is indeed shaken the educational foundation here in Nigeria. Well, over 4,000 cases of biometric fraud, AI impersonation, that's artificial intelligence impersonation, and also systemic cheating have been uncovered in the 2025 UTME. Now, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, has received a report from its Special Committee on Examination Infractions exposing how technology-driven malpractice is undermining Nigeria's admission process.
Presenting the findings in Abuja, Chairman of the committee, Jake Epelle, disclosed that investigators uncovered 4,251 cases of finger blending, a biometric fraud technique where candidates manipulate the fingerprint recognition system, and 192 instances of AI-assisted impersonation through image morphing during the 2025 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The numbers are staggering. What are the implications, and more? Joining us this morning to shed more light on this development is the chairman SCEI-JAMB, the Special Committee on Examination Infractions, Mr. Jake Epelle. A warm welcome to you, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central this morning. And it's good to talk about something that is different from Rivers politics. Away from Rivers State and its politics. But, sir, can you kindly run us through your investigation as head of this committee, which revealed these shocking findings we're about to discuss? How does image morphing and biometric spoofing, how are they redefining examination malpractices?
Okay, let me just give you a peek into what I would describe as the 4-tier reports of what I presented. Number one is that examination malpractice in Nigeria has evolved into a sophisticated, technology-driven, systemic problem. And that's very troubling. 2, fraudsters exploit biometrics, AI, social engineering, and systemic loopholes, often with institutional collusion. It's a cartel. Number 3 is the fact that we examined over 6,400 candidates which were flagged up in 2025 with evidence pointing to syndicates. These syndicates spanning from CBT centers, schools, parents. I underscore parents. 80% of the infractions, parents were responsible and candidates. The committee under my humble self, we did call for technological, legal, cultural, and institutional reforms to restore integrity to Nigeria tertiary admission system. My brother, this education system of this country, I don't want to be pessimistic, but we are in double trouble, especially the admission process, not in its totality, the admission process. I doff my hat for Professor Leode, who is determined to unravel this, who is fearless, who wants to walk on the path of honor and integrity. And I want to believe that the current minister is backing him. I've not had the privilege of meeting the current minister, but from a few things he has said, I think he's prepared to restore the integrity and the hope of Nigerians who are carrying our certificates. Our certificates will soon become a laughingstock if we continue the way we are going at the moment. I mean, when in the course of your questioning, I would tell you what our tasks were, what were our findings, and what our recommendations were.
Okay, before we go straight to the findings and recommendations, you did mention that percentage really shows that parents have also condoned and are also at the forefront of this malpractice. Can you share with us what the schools are equally doing, talk less of the parents, to ensure that these examination malpractices are in one way or the other not condoned? Because whether you like it or not, I want to believe that parents cannot automatically come and invigilate or become invigilators in the examinations. So obviously, the parents, they would have a hand, like you've said in the report, but there should be a conduit. So what did you also find?
Because you mentioned some of them are institutionally driven.
Exactly. So what did you find out, especially from the teachers, invigilators, and so on and so forth?
Well, in simple answer to your question, there's a collusion. The parents, in most cases, these operators of this institution, the CBT centers, schools, they sort of give the parents the impression that, listen, I know people who can write exams for your children. If you can, they pay as much as 1 million naira, 250,000, you know, to, sometimes it's not the school per se, but individuals in the school. They are the ones who organizes this expert examination writers. And many of these examination writers are university students. They are in the universities as students. Others are institutional experts of examination writers. There was a question you asked me, although I'm not very technology, I'm not a technologist, but let me try and answer the issue of finger blending and facial morphing. Now, what happens is that this is very intriguing. The student that would enter the CBT center to write the exam, in collaboration with the CBT owners, when they are registering them, both the student and the person that will write the exam for him, both of them will do their fingerprinting. So what happens is that during admission, because the computer has already captured these fingers, okay, when the examination writer's expert comes, the system will admit him. When the student, the person who is going to write the exams, who is the original owner of the outcome, comes, the system will admit. So both of them, in most cases, we saw a case of a mother and a daughter going in to sit, and the daughter is pretending doing something, and the mother is the one writing. We also saw a situation where these examination writers, experts, you know, will be in the same hall with the person and they're writing. But there's much more an intriguing part where they take, for instance, the face of a person with albinism. We were the worst affected. Over 1,870 something, you know. They would take part of my face, and you're the one, let's say you're the one who's going to do the writing. And because albinism, the camera drops the biometric effect. So albinism is easier used. So they will morph up the face. By the time the system is capturing the face, it captures almost like a dual presentation. So it allows them to enter. But that's even the mild aspect. The worst is what they call mirroring. The CBT center has an established place where everybody comes, and JAMB monitors these CBT centers with the camera. They will take toilet roll and cover the camera. So JAMB will be lost. They won't be able to see what is going on. They are telling them what is going on. Oh, we have not network failure. It's not true. They've covered the camera. The reason is that the students in the CBT center who are writing the exams are not actually the one writing the exams. They have another strong room where they have mirrored the computer and tell the children who are there pretending to write the exam, just keep moving your mouse. Meanwhile, the person who is doing the writing is in the strong room, the next room. Now, let me give you a simple example. My phone, I had a problem. Okay. And somebody in Canada, I gave that person who works for Apple, I gave that person access to my phone. He was able to get into my phone and was operating my phone as though I was the one operating it. That's the example of what is happening. They mirror your phone. You use your phone and mirror it on TV. Okay? And the TV takes over the functionality. That's exactly what is happening. And that's why I had put together a team. I have a team who works virtually all his life in Microsoft and just left as Microsoft Cloud lead in Africa. So I was with him in my team. The Commissioner of Police, Lagos State before, retired, Fatai, was in charge of investigation and security. Professor Tanko, the VC of Unijos, was in charge of cyber crime issues. Professor Yahuzi, the former Vice Chancellor of Ado Bayero, was in charge of engagement and process. So I had experts. Non-president was there. DSS, Neil Dubaru, what's this? National Security, Police. I had a team of experts that, I strategically put in various subcommittees. So we got the right information.
This is very enlightening and very eye-opening revelation.
I haven't said anything.
That you and your team have. So far, I know we're still on the surface level, but from what we've discussed this morning so far, 80% of infractions are driven by parents. It shows a serious cultural rot. And I want you to tell us from your point of view, the implications for the nation and also the parents. Parents are meant to rise above some of these things, because if you assist your child in cheating and getting admission, when they get to university, are you going to start mirroring and, doing all this? Are you going to cheat your way through graduation? What implications does that have on the children and also for our nation in whole? How do we deal with this cultural rot if parents are encouraging children to cheat?
Look, my dear, they do. It's a continuing process. I did interrogate. There are things I cannot say on national television because it borders on national security. Now, there were institutions of higher learning that issued certificates to people that did not go to that school at all. And it was systematically done that they had duplicates in the school. But you know how when you start playing pranks, you make mistakes. There were mistakes. There were institutions that gave certificates to people that they don't even know where that school is. I'm talking about higher institution. We have a huge endemic pandemic situation in our hands. Parents are the one paying the bills to these examination fraudsters. And it will surprise you how much money some of these young people have. There was one we interrogated. As we're interrogating, Fatai committee did. As they were interrogating her, a girl, she knew she was in trouble. She said, "Oh, please, let me just ease myself and find something to eat." They allowed her. She went to a restaurant nearby the police station and placed a call and asked the people and said, look, get me a private jet. I must fly out of this country tonight to Dubai. Young woman can afford to hire a private jet and fly out because she knows that she's been caught. It's a huge cartel. And by the way, I think I want to also emphasize here that I don't speak for JAMB. This is my caveat. I don't speak for JAMB. I am not speaking on behalf of Oluyede. I'm not trying to protect JAMB. I'm speaking straight about the report which I was privileged to lead professors, experts, and we're able to deliver this report. And it's a report that I'll stand by. Parents, 80% we discover. Let me give you something that concerns media. A young woman comes and says, oh, I scored the highest in JAMB. It's sensational. It's a good news. So, camera-hungry parents who wants to tell the nation that her child is the best brain this country has produced, goes on, tells everybody how brilliant the child is. The child knows that he or she manipulated. And of course, in fairness reporting, and I'm not saying it's your station, it's across board. You put out this information only for JAMB to say, wait a minute, let's even look at this girl or this boy and just discover that the whole result is a scam. And then the parents turns around and say, wow, I didn't know. My child led me into this. Please forgive us. Please don't destroy her future. JAMB will not go back to that media to say, this is our findings. They will keep quiet. And that's a major problem. So we had recommended naming and shaming. I know of a parent who is in jail now because he manipulated result for the child. And we want to see more of that. But do you know what? It took almost, I think, maybe 3 or 4 years before justice was done. Can you imagine the delay?
All right, Dr. Jake.
So yes.
Yeah, there's a question here on social media which I'd like to bring to your attention. Someone is asking that how come JAMB did not realize this, but were able to realize the glitch that they had mentioned affected some of the scores. So how come they were not able to realize quickly that there were some unscrupulous elements who were, in one way or the other, carrying out very nefarious acts through the CBT, but they were only able to come out and apologize for the JAMB score or other exam scores, as it were, rather?
Look, Joe, like I said, I don't speak for JAMB.
Okay.
But I'll try and give you an insight. I'll try and give you an insight because I know as a journalist, you ask questions to get answers for your viewers. Listen, I think this country owes Oluyede a lot. For a leader at that caliber to come out and cry on television, take responsibility, that's leadership. Now, what happened then? What happened then? They realized it earlier, to be honest with you, just that unfortunately they were trying to interrogate their system just to make sure they are right. Okay, eventually, when they noticed that the issues, they took responsibility where they had to take responsibility and also put the responsibility on others where they have to. But in this case, because of what happened last time, that's why they nipped it in the bud. That's why he said, listen, I'm not going to get anybody, professor or anything. I'm going to get somebody in civil society that has some reasonable credibility to interrogate this, and I'll give him free hand or her to do whatever is needful. And that's why I was chosen. I told him the first meeting, the pre-meeting, I said, Prof, are you sure you want me to do this? He said, look, Jake, go ahead. Do it the way you want and the way you know is the best way to do this kind of reporting. I said, well, from that point, we cut off communication. I never spoke to Professor Oloyede. He did not come to our meeting. He came to our meeting twice. One, when he inaugurated us, and two, on Monday, when he took the report. As a matter of fact, he inaugurated us and had to travel for another conference. So on Monday, the 8th of September, at 9:15, I delivered the report. That was the first time he saw the report. Now, we have made the recommendation. It's in his place to take the recommendation and implement. But I had said to him, I'm going to go to any length to unveil what me and my team did as per the report. We will not speak for JAMB. We will not defend JAMB. We will defend our report. And I'm willing to go on a town hall meeting with anybody to defend what we investigated and to let the country know that we're in trouble and we need a rescue mission. This is Jambo. You're not talking about Wayek.
Yes,
Wayek
yes.
is in trouble. Neko is in trouble because the same thing is happening.
Now, finally, Dr. Epelle, just before we let you go, having interacted with stakeholders at all levels and come up with this report, what are your recommendations?
Wow. I don't know how much time you have, but I'll give you 4 recommendations. 1, detection. Deploy AI biometrics detection system, dual verification system, real-time monitoring, and a national examination security operations system. 2, deterrence. Cancel results of confirmed fraudulent candidates. Impose a ban of 1 to 2 years, if more, on anybody so that they don't have to come back and do that again. Prosecute both candidates and their collaborators, including parents, and create a central sanction registry accessible to institutions and employers. Prevention, strengthen mobile-first self-service platform, digitalized correction workflow, tighten disability verification and ban bulk school-led registration. Legal reforms, amend JAMB Act. I want to personally take this up with my good friend, the Deputy Speaker. Malpractices Act to recognize biometrics and digital fraud and provide for a legal unit within JAMB. Do you know that JAMB lawyers cannot sit in court? They cannot stand up and defend JAMB. They have to get another lawyer. Cultural reorientation. Launch a nationwide integrity first campaign. Embedded ethics into curricula and enforce parental accountability. Special measure for minors. For under 18 offenders, apply rehabilitative measure under the Child Rights Act and focus on counseling and supervised re-registration. Finally, parents, please leave your children to read whatever they want to read, to study whatever they want to study. There's a case I had to deal with. These parents wanted this boy to read medicine. The boy got so frustrated and began to fail himself. You know, let them read whatever they want to read. You don't have to wallow in this pride that I have a lawyer, I have a doctor. You have a lawyer and a doctor who stole certificates, who will take stethoscope and doesn't know where to place it. It doesn't make sense. Media, you need to help us. you need to help us.
We'll do our best, Dr. Jake. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah,
It's very robust and important conversation.
Hopefully, our other programs would like to take charge on this conversation, especially. I was thinking in the lines of Fafwan and the likes to look into the educational system. But then again, thank you so much for your time.
I want to come. You see, look, my friend, I have special love, just like other stations, but for your station, many of you are my very good friend.
Absolutely.
I want to come with the team. We did it with Good Morning Nigeria. I want to come to the team so that if I'm talking technology, the technologists will give better insight. If I'm talking security, the security person will give better insight.
Okay.
And it doesn't have to 30 minutes. We need more time.
No problem. Walk around that. Thank you so much, Doctor, and thanks for the great job you're doing with the team. And hopefully we'll take Nigeria's education to the next level. Thank you for your time.
Thanks for the great job the team did, not me.
All right.
Thank you. And Joe, I was just wondering, he mentioned something about parents should let their children study what they want to study. How do you force someone to be a medical doctor if he's not interested? It's very sensitive to study medicine. Yeah. But if they can't get medicine, they can maybe become native doctors or herbalists.
I knew you were going somewhere. I just knew this guy. Anyway, let's tell you what's coming up next here on Breakfast Central. Coming up next for this hour, we'll take a look at concerns as it mounts over Nigeria's rising debt profile. And stakeholders decry early campaigns. I don't know if you're one of them. But then again, we'll also look into this story. Presidential aid pushes dialogue for conflict resolution. Stay with us.
Welcome back to Breakfast Central on a Thursday morning. Next, we're unpacking a national dilemma that's quietly becoming a fiscal emergency. Nigeria's public debt has surged past 149 trillion naira. I'll repeat that. Nigeria's public debt has surged past 149 trillion naira. Yet, many experts say the outcomes on the ground don't justify the borrowing. Also, the former House of Representatives member, Nicholas Osai, has warned that the National Assembly risks reducing itself to a rubber stamp institution unless it asserts its constitutional mandate in scrutinizing loan agreements.
Well, his remarks came a day after the Speaker of the House, Abbas Tajuddin, raised alarm that the country's total public debt has climbed to about 149 trillion naira, warning of the dangers of excessive borrowing, even though there was also another report that he did take back that statement. But, I mean, it's said already. Joining us for this discussion is financial analyst Kalu Aja, who joins us right away. Thank you so much. This is one very, very pertinent conversation to have. Most importantly, to look into it as Nigerians are indeed starting to wonder, what are we really borrowing for? The last time you were here on this show, I recall I asked one question and you answered. And the question was, do we need to borrow? And you said, yes, we're not even borrowing enough. But it's looking somehow right now. So let me start by saying that now that the debt profile has ballooned to 149 trillion naira, do you think that we can rightly say as Nigerians convincingly that the borrowing is actually doing the work for us with what's on ground?
Yeah, that's a good intro question. I think the problem, like you highlighted, is that Nigerians need to see where the money is going to. They need to see the effect of the borrowing, the roads, the trains. Then they'll be like, yes, the borrowings are high, but I can see the effects of the borrowing or the cost of the borrowing, I can see it. And I think that's what the problem is, the trust deficit in Nigeria, where we see the 149 or so trillion, you mentioned something like $97 billion. But then the roads are bad, the ports are bad, there's no power and all that, no insecurity. So that disconnect is why you have those conversations where folks talk about where we're borrowed. Like I said, the economy of Nigeria needs a ton of borrowing. You need to borrow to invest in infrastructure that wasn't done for years, right? We need to build out infrastructure, we need to create jobs, we need to boost productivity, and we can't do that from just the earnings that we make. We have to get in more funds from remittances, from borrowings, long-term borrowings at very, very low interest rate. That's what we need to do. If productivity goes up, then the economy can create tax revenues and then we can pay back. So that's where we are right now.
Now, Kalu, you know, you said people need to see what these borrowings have been used for, but this administration is just in the second year. You look at a project like the Lagos-Calabar Superhighway, for example, it's going to take about 7 years to complete. And infrastructure projects do take time. The Ethiopians just commissioned their Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam. That took a number of years. So in putting this in perspective, how would you address Nigerians? Or would you say, because like, you also mentioned the trust deficit issue. People are saying, look, we can't see anything, but sometimes these things take time. So how do you balance that?
Yeah, you have to have a strategy of rolling out infrastructure, right? You talked about the Ethiopian dam. This is a massive 13-year project, but you could see them clean out the land, pouring the cement in there. People could see that there was something big happening. If you come to Nigeria, we're building out the coastal road, right? But we do have roads internal that are very, very bad. And if roads are bad, that makes the cost of food go up. That makes inflation go up. So I think the strategy should have been in the first 6 months, you fix all the roads that people can see that we use every day, the roads that we use to take food from Kebbi to Lagos, from Maiduguri to Enugu. Fix those ones, right? Then do the coastal road. So that way you bought some trust. You've said, listen, we are fixing this, but we have to go do the coastal road because it powers the economy. It's going to be an east to west road. It will open up the country for commerce. But if you do the quick wins that are very, very easy, then you can go do those major ones. That east-west road, the coastal road, that's a 20-year project. No, not a 7-year project. It's going to be a long-term project. So you need to carry people along and say, trust us, we're going to deliver this. The same with the rails, the same with power. You've got to have quick wins. People see that, then people can be on your side and allow you to then do those longer-term infrastructure projects. Yeah.
All right. So it seems like Nigerians are starting to talk more, especially after this information did come out just a few days ago, rather. Looking at the debt profile, 149 trillion, in comparison to previous presidents and what they've borrowed, where Nigeria is starting from 1999 up until now. And then we do hear that the debt to GDP ratio is now 52%. My question to you is, those who are the informal sector, Nigerians and so on, what would be the trickling effect of this?
Yeah, the key number to watch, in my view, is the debt to revenue, not really that debt to GDP. Because what happens is when you have the budget and you have a high debt to revenue, you are taking more of the earnings to pay down debt than you're using to build infrastructure. 2 years ago, 2022, I believe,
Mr. Kalu Aja, okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah, just as I was saying, the number to watch is the debt to revenue, not just the debt to GDP, because you're going to use the revenue that you'd have used to build roads to service the debt. We've come down from about 92% debt to revenue to about 50-something right now, debt to revenue. The more you service the debt, that's money that could have gone to food, to education, to roads, and healthcare for the guy on the street. So right now, the number one or number two cost on our budget is debt service. It's as high as what we spend on salaries. It's more than what we spend on capital infrastructure. And that's the problem. If we can't build the roads and we're servicing the debt, then we get into this debt spiral where we're borrowing more to simply service what we already have. And then that then puts more pressure on the budget, and you see them raising taxes every day. Because borrowing is the same as raising taxes. That's why taxes are going to go up, because we have to service those debts that we've taken because we are borrowing to, pay back the old debt.
Now, if we're borrowing to pay back debts, that means, just to put it simplistically, if 80 kobo out of every 1 naira goes to creditors, what then is left for healthcare, education, infrastructure? Are we running government just to pay lenders? And this is where institutional oversight comes in. Tajuddin Abbas, and I believe a former member of the House of Representatives, raised alarm about the oversight functions of the National Assembly. They just seem to approve everything that is put on their desk. That's why some have called them a rubber stamp assembly. Do you expect greater scrutiny from members of from our legislators?
Not really. I mean, they haven't shown a lot of backbone in terms of oversight of spending. He took back his statement, didn't he? That just tells you what you need to know. The problem was that when we had the regime, Buhari's regime, where we printed about 22 trillion from ways and means, and we added that 22 trillion to the national debt. That actually ballooned the national debt, and you really can't tell what that money was used for. So right now, again, when the new president came in, he borrowed again 7 trillion from ways and means. We're also borrowing again from the World Bank, and we're also going to the commercial guys to borrow. The president has said no more local borrowings, which I presume to mean we're going to borrow more externally, right, in dollars. You saw the plan, 22 billion that they want to borrow about $22 billion. The problem is that if you borrow in dollars, you have to earn dollars to pay back. You can't print dollars. And you need the National Assembly to ask very, very critical questions. How are we going to repay? We're paying from oil revenues. But if oil revenues could fall to price goes to 40 or 50, how do we repay? So those questions have to be asked. You have to have a clear debt plan on what are your plan A, plan B, in case oil revenues are not coming. How do we pay back? So we don't go into another debt trap that we had in the 1990s. That's just the fear. If you don't control, politicians want to spend because that's how they meet their promises. But that spending has got to be funded from taxes or from borrowings. And you've got to be very careful that you're not asking politicians to stop themselves from spending. That's never going to happen.
So now that we know that Nigerians should expect more borrowings, if you put it that way, I stand to be correct. I mean, you're here. So bottom line, should we expect more borrowings, foreign borrowings, foreign aid, since we said there's no more local borrowings? The president has said that. And if we're expecting foreign borrowings, I mean, in your capacity, what would you advise is the best way to ensure that we can monitor these borrowings?
Yeah, the first answer is yes, expect more foreign borrowings. We already saw the plan of the 22 billion we want to borrow. So that's going to go up. The plan is to borrow revenue-based borrowing, right? If we are borrowing tied to a project that's going to generate revenues. So that way you can borrow $100 million, but it's going to go to a project that's going to pay back. So that project is going to be self-funded. Don't borrow in dollars to give to poor people. It's a good idea, but you are borrowing in dollars to convert to Naira to do a social service. That's not going to be paid back in dollars. So you already have a debt overhang there, an exchange risk over there. We've got to borrow a bit smarter and tie the dollar borrowings to projects that are going to generate revenues to pay back that dollar borrowing. Then we can go back to Naira borrowings for those social projects and hopefully try to increase the revenues from taxes to cover those non-income generating activities. You can't really borrow. The problem is the cost of paying back the debt. Euro bonds are nearly $500 million that when we do a servicing for just this quarter. So if you keep on paying your foreign exchange out as debt servicing, you have very, very little to defend your Naira, to grow productivity, to build infrastructure. So that cost of the debt is my fear. And we're borrowing again in a foreign currency, which means you can't print it. You've got to earn it from exporting crude oil. So we're cutting ourselves into a very, very tight corner. If anything goes wrong, we're going to be in a bit of a bottom.
Now, Kalu, sorry I have to bring back the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam project that was just commissioned by the Ethiopians. Massive project, 13 years, and they did it. The most impressive part of it is they built Africa's largest hydroelectric dam without borrowing a single dollar, without any foreign loan. They sourced finances locally, they sold bonds. Are we too quick to look outside to borrowing? Are there other ways we can address, we can build infrastructure without borrowing? And also, ordinary Nigerians watching would be wondering, I mean, didn't this president just say we've met our revenue target? Every other day, customs is declaring record-breaking income that they've made or exceeded target. So where is all this money going to?
Yeah, so they go back to the Ethiopians. They were able to, you see the dam, the clearing, the cementing, the site works, right? They did a lot of local borrowing. So they issued the Renaissance bond, and the Ethiopians abroad, the Ethiopians in Ethiopia invested in those bonds, and they were able to use the funds to pay for a large part of the bonds. But when they had to then buy turbines, yes, they had to go borrow from the Chinese Exim Bank, but they did a large part by borrowing locally. The same thing we do here with our federal government bonds. They did the same thing. They issued bonds and they borrowed. Nigeria has also started to borrow in US dollars. We now have Nigerian dollar bonds, right? Not just Euro bonds, but Nigerian dollar bonds that we issued locally that are in dollars. Again, the problem is the cost of that dollar bond. So if you go to America and you put money in the bank, you're getting 1% to 4% in terms of interest. In Nigeria, you're going to get almost 8 or 9%. It's a bit too high. So if Nigerians can invest in dollar bonds and we can pay them 2-3%, because it's an impact bond, it's quote unquote patriotism, we can drop the cost of borrowing and then we can do infrastructure. That's why the trust deficit is such a big problem. The Ethiopians were able to invest in an Ethiopian project. The diaspora sent in money to Ethiopia in dollars to invest in Renaissance bonds. But in Nigeria, can we also do that? That's why the trust deficit is very, very important.
Absolutely.
If people trust you, they can invest in you.
Now, if you could give the National Assembly a 3-point checklist before approving any new loan, what would it be?
Yeah, number one, is it going to create jobs? Jobs are very, very important. Is it going to create jobs? Because once you create jobs, you're creating consumption, you're addressing poverty. So you're trying to kill two birds with one stone. Will that project create jobs? Number two, how are you going to pay it back? Is it going to be tied to a project? Is it just going to be tied to the budget itself? That's the second one. And number three, oversight. Like, who is in charge of this project? You know, is it going to be a House member? Is it going to be a minister? Who is just going to be in charge? That we're going to say, we've given you these funds, and you're going to run that project management through, and you're going to get the funding. If we do those three, we do a lot. You know, job creation, consumption. That's the biggest problem right now. There's lots of construction going on, but people don't have a job. So if we can tie those borrowings to create jobs locally, at least we get something out of it. So that's the street answer. Any project that comes before the National Assembly, ask how many jobs will be created, organic jobs will be created. Just ask. Number two, is it going to be revenue based? How are we going to pay for this borrowing? Are we going to sell more oil? Are we going to increase taxes to pay for the borrowing? And of course, number three, who is the project manager? If the president leaves office in 8 years, will the project stop, or is there going to be someone that's going to continue this project till the conclusion? That's what we want to find out here.
Very, very interesting highlights there, especially I'm hoping that the lawmakers will look deep into this. Just as some have said, that is basically a rubber stamp where approvals are being made without looking into this properly. But I mean, before you go, one last question. The CBN has also looked at ensuring that they provide other means to help reduce the burden on Nigerians. Yesterday, I did see a report where the president had given FEC, the Federal Executive Council, a target to ensure that they bring food prices down. In your way, yeah, that was yesterday evening, and they said, the president said, ensure that all food prices are down so that Nigerians can have enough to eat.
It's a command.
It's a command. It's looking like a command now. But as economists, I know you've also touched on the increase in food pricing and how Nigerians are finding it very difficult to ensure that they can keep their body and soul together when it comes to food. What other ways do you think the president, in making that statement, can actually enact or make it happen, rather? What other ways do you think he can make it happen, especially
beyond making a pronouncement? Yeah.
Well, they've got to do the action. There's already a plan. You know, in Nigeria, the biggest problem in Nigeria is the cost of food. High food costs drive inflation. Nigeria's a food story. If you can bring the cost of food down by 50%, you drop inflation. Inflation goes down. The cost of borrowing SMEs go down. SMEs can employ more people. We can have consumption restarting. So simply saying, if you can bring the cost of food down, you can reflate the Nigerian economy. There's already a plan to allow food import on a very, very short-term basis. That's why you see inflation coming down a bit, because we're importing food into the country. So should we do more of that? It's going to affect local farmers, but we need to bring the cost of food down considerably. Not just what we're doing today. The bag of rice has got to be about 25,000 or so. And you only achieve this with imports. When you import, your foreign reserves are going to fall. But if you can bring down inflation in the short term, and you can address the insecurity where the food is grown, then you are now going to revive the economy. Food is an insecurity problem today, not just a monetary problem today. So when the president says, bring down the cost of food, he's saying you got to go to where the bandits, where the insurgency is, and you got to take those guys out. Yobe, just 80 buried. That's where the food comes from. Benue, Yobe, Kebbi, and there's insecurity there. So local food is expensive, and imports are cheaper, but we're spending our foreign reserves. So the long-term plan is to take out the insecurity so food prices can come down from Nigerian farmers, then the economy gets reflated. Short-term, you've got to import food so when inflation comes down, then we can start to consume again. It's a simple plan, but very difficult to implement. It's not just by saying it, they've got to actually go do it.
That's a good one there. I mean, taking a look at it, it only makes sense if we try to cushion the effects that we have now, and then later on we can revert back to the initial plan. I know I had said that's our last question and then we're wrapping up, but just in 30 seconds, I please accommodate this, my final question. Since we talked about farming and food, I'd like to hear what the impact of GMOs have on the economy, since we're looking at it from the food aspect in terms of food. What impact will it have?
Well, it's cheaper. This is GMO. People talk about GMO, but what cornflakes? What the modified seed you have to grow cassava, to grow rice? We already have a bit of modification. If it's genetically, I'm not a chemist, but there's already modified seeds, enhanced seeds that give you better yields, that are more disease resistant. And that's how you grow food. Malthusian theory, the population is so large, we can't grow food. You've got to have mechanized, hybrid farming to increase the food output. So for a country like Nigeria, if we cannot grow food naturally from the farmers because of insurgency, then clearly GMO is going to come into Nigeria. It's not because it's a better option. It's because it's the only option. If you take out large parts of the middle belt from growing yams and rice, how else do you meet up the yield that Nigerians need? Rice, so how else do you meet it if you don't import? And what's the cheapest import? It's going to be GMO because they want to get a market for it. I prefer natural foods. Our food here is better than a GMO. But in the end, people are going to eat. If people see only GMO and it's cheaper, people would buy it. And it's only cheaper because the local food output has gone down. So the issue is not GMO. The issue is the cost of local food has become so high that GMO now becomes a cheaper option. So we've got to fix that. That's what we have to fix. Not really worried about it, whether it's GMO or not.
Thank you so much for your time and insights, Kalu Aja. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Have a great one.
You too.
Watching Breakfast Central here on News Central Television. We still have quite a lot to unpack on the show today. We're going on a quick break, and when we return, we'll be talking electoral reforms as we inch towards 2027 and early campaigns. We'll discuss this and more when we return. Stay with us.
From billboards to branded vehicles, from skits on TikTok to veiled speeches at cultural festival, politicians are campaigning subtly somewhere, months, even years before the law permits. And I bet you can see that too. And the cost, well, governance suffers, laws are undermined, and public trust continues to erode. According to Section 94, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022, campaigns must begin 150 days before polling and end 24 hours prior. Now, INEC reports widespread violations disguised as philanthropy, appreciation, tours, and social media. No legal sanctions for campaigns launched before the 150-day window. And INEC also warns this trend inflates campaign costs, distorts fairness, and also distracts elected officials from governance.
Now, let's be clear. This isn't about just about timing. It's about accountability. When politicians start campaigning 2 years early, who's minding the store? Joining us for this discussion this morning is the Executive Director of the Electoral College, Mr. Kalu Aja. One welcome to you, Mr. Aja, and thanks for joining us on Breakfast Central.
Morning, and it's a pleasure always to be here.
Now, what makes this 2027 electoral season very different and special? I mean, in the minds of most Nigerians, they would probably think next year is 2027, 2026. Nobody has mentioned anything about 2026. And since the advent of this democracy, this uninterrupted leg of our democracy, 26 years since 1999, I have never seen or witnessed in my adult life so much interest in the next electoral cycle. 2 years, a whole 2 years, because it started before now. What's really driving this serious campaigning, and how much of a concern is this?
I would love to say I knew exactly what was driving this amount of campaigns, but I'd like to say we can say it's basically just going off the charts. Now, here's how it looks to the Nigerian electorate. First and foremost, I would like to say I think the massive campaigns are the diversion from true governance, especially when you see with the ruling party. As regards other parties, I would not say they aren't campaigning. I would not say the coalition or the major opposition parties are not having a conversation, but they're responding to the reactions of the incumbent party. Now, I can say just 1 year into the incumbent party having been power, they've been campaigning quite, elaborately. And I'd like to say that the Electoral Act, as much as it provides a stop on campaigns and till 150 days before, and then we'll move on next, nobody can punish it. INEC is not given power to punish it. Yes, the Electoral Act says it's wrong, but it does not empower INEC, security force. It does not empower anyone to punish it. So it's wrong. And because it just says it's wrong, I think the abuse by the incumbent party on, the next 4 years and etc., while we're not discussing this present years, is something that I think in our 26 years of democracy is unprecedented and has no standing. It's generally, for me, very surprising. There's no even conversation on what we should be doing now. Everybody's trying to secure the next 4 years.
Securing the next 4 years is starting to look like it's affecting governance. I mean, we've seen politicians use cultural events, their religious gathering, just like we saw former Kaduna State Governor just a few days ago going to a church in the southeast and then encouraging the people to get their PVCs and ensure that they vote. And sometimes this is shrouded in a way that, many think the electoral body wouldn't know. But what has been the response from the electoral umpire, which truly should be independent and shouldn't fail in wielding the big stick on anyone who defies what the Constitution states when it comes to voting? It seems like INEC is just, quiet and just allowing every single thing happen. Or what's your take on that?
No, I must allude to the fact. Just while I was on this program, I saw a message coming from, I think, Cable or one of the newspaper reports, and INEC clearly states that it does not have the power to punish anyone for premature campaigns. That was released, I think, yesterday night, statement yesterday night or this morning for me to just be seeing it. So INEC clearly states that it does not have the power to do that. So it's not like INEC is not. Like I said, we have the laws. Laws clearly states, or the act clearly states when it should be done. It just does not empower INEC to punish anyone. And if INEC does not have the power to enforce such matters, then we're in a, how do I put it, we're in a lost situation. And for me, it's critical to note that an incumbent and the opposition have actually been abusing this in large amounts, but I'd like to point fingers at the incumbents a bit more because they're the ones with the massive billboards and the massive campaign slogans talking about the campaigns ahead.
Thank you very much, Kunle. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, there's a news item here that says police and INEC move against early campaigns, and I'll also tell you what the incumbent ruling party is saying about this. Just stay with us. We'll be right back after this quick timeout. You're welcome back to Breakfast Central, and we're currently discussing the politics of early campaigning as we inch towards 2027. The Electoral Act gives 150 days before polling, but we've seen a widespread abuse of this. And join us for this analysis is Mr. Kunle Lawal. Now, Kunle, just before we went on the break, Joe asked you a question about INEC and what INEC is doing about it. You also explained to us that, look, the Electoral Act does not make provisions for punitive measures when there are violations of this aspect of the law. But the former chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Jega, is lamenting that that parties have already started campaigns, and it says the ruling APC is the worst offender. And even the Inspector General of Police has vowed to enforce the law against violators. I'm wondering what provision of the law he will use to enforce and if this is just talk. But the APC is saying that, look, we've not officially sanctioned this campaign, so we are working, it's not affecting governance. But what is happening is that our fans, our well-wishers, they've taken it upon themselves to erect these billboards and do all these things that people are terming campaigns. Does that argument hold water?
For me, it doesn't. And there's a conversation on if it were, let's say, opposing party. Excuse me. If it were an opposing party, I don't think they will allow those billboards up. If you look at Abuja generally, look at Lagos, Port Harcourt, Calabar, you don't see opposing party billboard. So you can't say well wishes and then wish the campaigns away. I must critically state that though the incumbent party kind of plays with what is exactly going on, I must say that it's allowed this happen. And you cannot ignore the fact that even though it seems like the electorate seem in support, they have so many well-wishers or etc., it seems, and if I can say this, it seems that by buying in or by putting up these billboards or whatever, certain favors are being granted by the incumbent party. So I think it's generally a game of musical chairs, and you provide a a campaign poster or make something big and something else is granted you in favors. So the incumbent party cannot allege that it doesn't know what's going on or it's well wishers. Well wishers. And I'll be honest, I've lived between Abuja and Lagos for more than 24 years. And in those 24 years, I've never seen campaigns this massive, especially 2 years before an election. It's surprising.
The president, we did hear and also made mention that people should stop. And information did come out from the presidency that the campaigns, any campaigns should not be accepted. In other words, they should stop. And we've had some of the members of the ruling party, and we've asked them why focus has shifted, not just from governance, but it has shifted to early campaigns, of which they have denied, and they've simply said, no, that's wrong. There's no indication of early campaigns, but we do see the billboards. We see some of them on the roads. There's one on the airport, not too far off as well. And you said that, I mean, you've shuttled between Lagos and Abuja, and I'm sure you've also seen some of these campaigns too. But the question right now is, what does this automatically do to the minds of every Nigerian who is starting to really think that governance is being abandoned and politics seems to be the quest of the day or of this administration? And what can you say in terms of looking at it from an electoral way or electoral role, being one who has looked at elections carefully? Do you think this will in any way harm Nigeria's electoral process going forward?
Yes, I think the first thing it does is make people that do not belong to the incumbent party or belong to the opposition, the first thing it does is that it tells them there's no competition or there's no need to for an election in 2027. Remember that in 2023, based on INEC saying they were going to transmit elections electronically, though INEC legally has a mandate to transmit elections as it deems fit, according to the law, but INEC made a promise to Nigerians publicly and on media that it was going to transmit electronically. There was already a distrust with INEC. Now, feeding on that distrust with the massive campaigns that are going on, what we project is that first and foremost, there will be poor participation in 2027. And secondly, most people just allude to the fact that it is political continua, which means that there will be no opposition and basically the incumbent party is going to continue moving on. And that is, for me, the most disruptive thing that could happen for our democracy, because we're still building and trying to understand and trying to protect the fact that INEC, I will not say INEC spoke outside its core in 2023, which dropped electoral participation to 28%. By our projections right now, we're seeing a less than 21% participation in 2027 election. And this is because of these early campaigns, which generally sends the message that the elections will be free and fair in 2027.
Now, Mr. Lowell, the former chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, did say there are no sanctions whatsoever breaching campaigns earlier than 150 days to an election. You did allude to that. That although Section 94, subsection 2 of the Electoral Act of 2022 imposes a maximum fine of 500,000 naira for campaigning within 24 hours of an election, we're currently seeing talks of electoral reforms ongoing. Should this also be looked into in the electoral reforms? And do you not see any sort of positivity coming out of this early campaigns or heightened political activities we're seeing in the country? Because people, I mean, you're a voter education advocate, so people being sensitized about the politics and the need to get their voters card and how their votes count. So surely there should be some good coming out of this, or do you think otherwise?
I don't see any good coming out of this. in the electoral reforms we're putting. I think one of the 4 things we sent forward to the National Assembly, which will be reviewed and of course will be there to have conversations over, is this particular issue in which there must be punitive measures, severe punitive measures. I don't think a fine of 500,000 makes any sense in present time. There must be high punitive measures to this being done. Secondly, I'd say as we look at it, look at the situation generally, I'm yet to see something positive about the current situation. There is clearly nothing that I think I can explain could be positive happening with this early campaigning, but distorting the general situation of the general system of how a country should work. First and foremost, you have less resolving governance, and though the president and everybody comes out to say they are not in support of this, when the president visits the National Assembly, you see the roar, you see the songs on your mandate, etc. It makes the president, I don't know, say one thing and acting another. You see that also with the new party chairman, and he's always, it's his job actually to discuss and back on the party, but he's really, they're really playing more a conversation game, and the coalition, and that's the coalition and the opposition, they're seriously discussing, if you've heard most of their stalwarts, they're discussing 2027, whether the incumbent will win, the incumbent will not win. I think the incumbent party has set the tone for this general misnomer. And for me, I think it's sad looking at the pictures, Asokoro will say to, I'm looking at pictures you're viewing now, Asokoro will say to Warimpa, the massive posters that are everywhere. I've never seen Abuja do this, and I think I've been an adult quite some time in the electoral system, and it's just shocking. So I can't see anything positive about it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. Executive Director of the Electoral College, Mr. Kulelawal. Hopefully, when a member of the APC joins us, would find a way to ask again if truly the campaigns have indeed stopped or it never started, if at all. But then again, it's a good light to shine, especially for all political campaigners and parties. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yes. That does it for the conversation that we've had. Very interesting one. If you've cited any of these election campaigns, please feel free to take a picture.
I used to see one on the stretch of 3rd Mainland, but it's, I guess they're
they've taken them out. They've taken them out.
Until, I guess, but the advertising agencies and the outdoor billboard people and printers won't complain. Well, they're the only ones that won't be complaining because business is booming.
Business is booming now.
Yeah, so it's good for them. It's a distraction from.
I agree.
From government.
Very big one. Anyway, let's bring to you breakfast headlines, which is coming up next. After which, we would have the front pages of the newspapers where you can call in to say your opinion and share what you think. After the break.
Hello, welcome to Breakfast Headlines. I am Benka Aborowa. We begin the news in West Africa, Nigeria, where Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is set to address the 80th United Nations General Assembly in New York on Wednesday, September the 24th. According to a revised speaker list from the United Nations, President Tinubu will speak on the second day, joining 195 world leaders, including heads of states, vice presidents, and prime ministers. He's scheduled to deliver his address during the afternoon session around 8:30 p.m. local time, equivalent to 2:30 p.m. in Nigeria. President Tinubu will be the 17th speaker that day, addressing a global gathering on peace, development, and cooperation. The Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors has given the federal government a fresh 24-hour ultimatum to meet outstanding demands following the expiration of the earlier 10-day deadline on September the 10th. This decision came after a 6-hour virtual meeting of the association's National Executive Council. The doctors demand immediate payment of the 2025 Medical Residency Training Fund, settlement of 5 months' salary arrears from the Consolidated Medical Salary Structure Review, and other long-standing backlogs. They also seek payment of 2024 Accommodation Allowance arrears, specialist allowances, and restoration of the recognition of the West African Postgraduate Membership Certificate. The communique was signed by NARD President Dr. Tope Oshundara, General Secretary Dr. Oluwashola Odubaku, and Publicity Secretary Dr. Moha Amobi. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it cannot punish politicians who have started campaigning early for the 2027 general elections. INEC Chairman Mahmoud Yakubu told a stakeholder meeting in Abuja that the Electoral Act prohibits campaigns earlier than 150 days before voting, but it does not set penalties for breaking this rule. He noted that while politicians are holding rallies, putting up billboards, and running ads ahead of the legal period, INEC's hands are tied because the law only fines campaigns within 24 hours before election day. Earlier, a constitutional lawyer, Jide Ologun, joined us on the news to discuss this.
Section 94 of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. Subsection 1 talks about 150 days before election for the campaigns, and it should end 24 hours before the real election. But while we don't have any penalty for the 150 days requirement, there is a penalty of 500,000 naira only for still campaigning within the 24 hours window. And I consider this as very, sickening. And it's a good thing it's coming to the front burner now. And let me say this, INEC itself is a creation of the Constitution. If you look at Section 153 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, and Section 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 as amended also recognizes the role of INEC. And INEC is to conduct elections, monitor the parties and the activities, campaigns, funding, and of course, carry out necessary redress if we have breaches. But here we are now, INEC is in a state of being lame to enforce sanitizing the electoral processes. And this has given politicians a leeway. But that is not to say that we have a hopeless situation.
The African Democratic Congress has commended the Independent National Electoral Commission for officially recognizing Senator David Mark as its national chairman, declaring the party stable and ready for renewed political engagement ahead of the 2027 general elections. INEC's updated leadership list, published on its official website on Wednesday, also confirmed other key appointments. Former Osun State Governor Rauf Aregbesola as National Secretary, Dr. Ibrahim Mani as National Treasurer, and Akibu Dalhatu as National Financial Secretary. The Kaduna State Zonal Director of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arraigned the people People's Democratic Party House of Representatives candidate for Chikun Kajuru Federal Constituency by-election and the Director General of a campaign organization at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja for alleged financial crimes. The accused, identified as Esther Dawaki and Shehu Fatange, are facing prosecution before Justice Emeka Nwite on a 5-count charge bordering and accepting and making payments in excess of the amount authorized by law, conspiracy and money laundering to the tune of 26 million naira. The accused pleaded not guilty to the charges, following which prosecution counsel M.O. Arumemi asked the court for a trial date and for the defendants to be rounded in a correctional center. He adjourned the matter till Monday, 15th of September 2025 for the hearing of the bill application. The news continues in West Africa, where Ghana has agreed to accept West African nationals deported from the United States of America. Ghanaian President John Mahama, who disclosed this while addressing journalists, said the first group of 14 deportees, including several Nigerians and one Gambian, has already arrived in Ghana. The president disclosed that the decision follows a U.S. request to accept third-party nationals being removed from the country.
We were approached by the U.S. to accept third-party nationals who were being removed from the U.S. And we agreed with them that West African nationals, were acceptable because all our fellow West Africans don't need a visa to come to our country. So if they decided to travel from U.S. to Accra, they don't need a visa anyway. So if you're bringing our colleague West Africans back, that's okay. And so I think that agreement has been activated, and a first batch of 14 nationals came. Several of them were Nigerian brothers.
On the news at the Summer Breakfast Central continues shortly. I am Benga Aboroa.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us here on the front pages of the newspapers. That's where we are going to, and we do have public affairs analysts, and one who is here with us today, Mr. Dotu Ojon, joins us live. Good morning, Mr.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Dotu Ojon. Very nice to see you.
It's a pleasure. Yeah.
All right.
And I must say, our viewers don't have the pleasure of seeing your beautiful shoes. This type of shoe can be used to kick corruption out of Africa.
That's my little vanity, and I don't want people to know.
You're lucky the set has a way of
maybe next time we'll take this. Maybe he will join us for wake-up conversation so that we can expose the one that is
beautiful, sweet.
Yeah, fantastic. Well done. You're doing well. You're a man of a caliber and a taste. Yes. Anyway, you can call in. The phone numbers will be on the screen, so make sure you start dialing. Your contributions are indeed valid, and we take it seriously here. Let's start off with the Nigerian Tribune. That'll be the first paper we're going to look at. The Nigerian Tribune has on the front page there ADC. INEC finally recognizes Mark Aregbesola, others as party executives. Party to Senate, Natasha's suspension has lapsed. Further obstruction is indeed abusive. And we also have more. Again, national grid collapses. This was yesterday. Dangote Cement pays over 3.3 trillion naira in dividends to shareholders in 15 years. And in aviation, Neymar raises alarm over threat of climate change. And energy drinks may rise suicide risks. That's a deep research from study concerning health. Reps blame delay in 2025 budget implementation and procurement process. And now we're hearing that they say 80% of projects have been completed already in this administration. And yet, we see reps blaming the 2025 implementation on procurement process. There's a lot of back and forth in that story, though, but would continue. NULG, NULG.
National Union of Local Government Employees.
Yes. Seeks Tinubu's intervention over Osun LG allocation seizure. But let's go straight without further ado so we don't waste time. 2027, INEC tells politicians to stop early campaigns. But let's start off with the ADC news. The big one on the front page there. INEC finally recognizes Mark Aregbesola, others as party executives.
Okay, I think that's a good news for lovers of democracy. It's a good news for Nigeria because you've seen the back and forth of people saying that the president intends to turn Nigeria to a one-party state. And I've repeatedly said no, the president never had that intention. It is politicians that are shamelessly moving when they are supposed to be seriously working. And out of the many of them that have moved, we have seen that they have not even seen what they are looking for. A lot of them have not seen what they are looking for. So if we, by any means, especially by the act of political selfishness, derail our democracy, we'll all see the shame. I mean the politicians, not you. And it's quite unfortunate that at every point in time you see that people move shamelessly. I don't know whether some of them even have family members. I don't know whether some of them have people who talk to them. I don't know whether some of them have people that they respect, who can talk to them in the community. It is a dangerous game when you continue to move in the direction of power.
But in defense, they say, you know, there's no much ideological difference in all these political parties. So whether you move or not, it's more of the same.
So what that does is to kill the ability of anybody to make something out. If your intention is always to move towards the direction of power, there's nothing
Not
wrong.
necessarily. There are people that have moved to parties that have not gained power at the center or in their states. Case in point, Gbadebo Revival.
Yes.
Kowa Party, started off in Kowa Party. He moved to Labour Party. He moved to PDP, and then from PDP to Labour Party is now in ADC.
So the thing is that
all those parties were never in power when.
The thing is that what differentiates some of those people from the one we are talking about is the fact that majority of these people are just looking for the direction of power. And we need to build,
immunity.
Yes, whatever it is. We need to build a system that will put the ruling power on its toes. If not for these people that are in APC today, I know how they criticize the PDP government.
When they were in government.
I knew how they were saying a lot of things they did actually.
And also how they were part of protests.
Yes, you understand. So, and suddenly today, they are in power. They never said anybody should not protest anyway. They never said people should not build their own political party. But the thing is that we just have some politicians who just want to move towards the direction of power. That's why I'm a bit very glad and pleased with what's happening in ADC. I am not saying ADC is coming to rescue Nigeria. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that at least they are building something that looks like an alternative. Look at the publicity secretary of the ADC. Look at the way it comes out to talk on every issue that the government...
They're also talking about Natasha's suspension. He said it's further obstruction and abusive. But I want to take you back on the issue of protest. You said nobody's saying you can't join political parties. It's free, it's fine. But on the issue of protest in this administration, as we speak, we still have people that have been charged for treason for the End Bad Governance protest. And we saw the embarrassing situation that had to take the intervention of Mr. President to rescue those minors that were hungry, that were given biscuits in the courtrooms. And we've also seen the behavior of the Nigerian police force and law enforcement agents in trying to, in Abuja, they give you a protest venue, which is dangerous. It could lead to stampede. They use the MK Abiola National Stadium in Abuja. They say this is your designated protest area. Yes, and in Ojota, they give you timing. There's a timetable for when
morning
and
to
a
night,
place.
evening.
And even or otherwise, they threaten our correspondents, like Bernard Akede, who was unfortunately harassed in the last.
Yes,
so we still, there's still some level of stifling
Of course, there's stifling. Every government you will see a level of it. I'm just saying that the power of people at every point in time, the resilience of people is more important, is more instructive than whatever the government may be saying. But before we can talk about resilience of people, we must first of all ensure that everybody is not in the political party, in the same political party. That's the direction that I'm saying. Once you have everybody who can talk in the community, once you have people who can actually defend the right of people, all of them come together into the same political party, then we use our hand to kill the democracy. So congratulations to ADC. I so believe that beyond the race for presidency, there are important offices. And once you don't have a good opposition like this, you just discover that those offices will just go into the hand of the ruling party. And I know that ADC will actually give the government a run for their money.
All right, we have a caller on the line. Let's quickly talk to him. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Godwin, calling from Lagos.
Yeah, I'm calling from Abule, that's the village where I'm staying.
Okay, go ahead, please.
I will appreciate if News Central will bring people to analyze, people who are not biased, because from few of the words that the guy who analyzing for you this morning shows that he does not understand what is happening in the political terrain in Nigeria.
All right, let us know what is happening.
Yes, the current government in power is doing everything humanly possible to make sure that there is no opposition, one. Secondly, they want state capturing. So they are planning heavily to make Nigeria a one-party state. So he should not defend that. You cannot protest. You cannot do anything. The police are there. The DSS are there. Everybody is gagging Nigerians. That is not democracy. He don't come there to tell us what is not. He pisses us off. I'm not a member of any of these political parties. I was an APC leader in Imo State. I resigned. I don't want to I can't lie to my people. I resigned. So he should not come there and tell us what is not. This government of APC does not want opposition. Fine. INEC has recognized the ADC leadership. Check what is going to happen very soon. Mark my word. Today's date is what? See what is going to happen. The Tinubu administration will them and make sure that they don't. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Godwin. And I think it's unfair to... We all have different opinions to expressly say an analyst is biased because you're not hearing what you want to hear, what you're inclined to, or he's not speaking towards your political leanings. Let's learn to respect other people's opinions and issues. And I don't think at any point did you say that the APC is not trying to... I don't know, I'll just let you speak.
I totally understand where it's trying to come from. Of course, what's it called? This is Nigeria, 260 million people. People will always hear what they want to hear. The concept of what he's saying in philosophy is the fact that you will hear yourself in the conversation of any other person. It's totally understandable. And for those who do not know, sometimes it's always very good to read the credentials so that they know that you actually understand what you're saying. For 22 years, I've been on this street and I've not left of understanding policy of even leading as a chairman of a political party.
And seeking elective office.
And seeking elective office. And so it's okay. Let's move on, sir.
Okay. All right.
Let's talk about
We have another caller, Sorry to break it. Hello?
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Uche from Abia. Can you speak up, please, so we can hear you properly?
Thank you for having me. Your guest there, please don't mind his opinion. Everybody is entitled to his opinion. Let me go straight to the point.
Go on.
Yakubu Mahmoud is biased. He is biased. He can't tell me they don't know what to do. Even the DSS, if I said anything today against Mr. President, DSS will do what? Come after me. How is it that political parties are, doing what they are doing? DSS is watching them. Can't Yakub even put down the president, billboard? People don't do anything. Can't he put down to a billboard? So that those billboards will be in their custody. Then the political parties will know that they are doing what they are doing is wrong. It's against the Constitution. God bless you, people.
Thank you very much, Uche. Dr. Uche is responding to this issue of early campaigning.
Yep.
And Professor Mahmoud said, look, INEC's hands are tied because they can only work within the ambit of the law, and there's no provision for penalties for people that campaign 150 days before the stipulated time. The Constitution does not expressly give punitive measures. The only part of the Constitution that gives punitive is 24 hours and is 500,000 naira. So what do you do in this situation?
Can you see the
do you need DSS to go and start, as Uche said, do you need DSS to start arresting those billboards and putting it in politician compound?
The first person they will have picked up will be the president, honestly. You see, and this is a very serious conversation. Democracy comes with two expectations.
Yeah.
It's a kind of government with twin expectations. The first expectation is what the people are expected to do for democracy. The second expectation is what the democracy is expected to do for the people. Now, the first thing is that what do we expect of the people to do for democracy is to go out on the day of election to vote. What do we expect democracy to do for the people? It is to deliver unto them dividends of democracy in terms of progress, prosperity, and policy that will make their life better. But here is it. Once you begin to campaign 1 year into government for another term, what happens is that opportunity for democracy to do for the people what it's supposed to do for them has been quenched. In other words, people now leave governance and they continue to talk about election at every point in time. It's so sad that the people that will ruin our government process in Nigeria are the sycophants. The president is sitting in Abuja. People today I just came back, sir, in my community, SCEI-JAMB, far away from the capital, people have put Mr. President poster. So now it is a serious kind of conversation.
They're probably currying favor, or they think
they are derailing our democracy. You cannot run a government like this. And if you say that you continue to arrest people that are on poster, you discover that your opposition, your enemies will also go and print your poster and post it. Because they want you in prison.
The person on poster didn't sanction.
That's a deep one. I like that. We'll come back to that. Let's take a call. Let's take this call. Hi, Chude. Good morning.
For president.
Yeah.
I mean, that's it. Hi, Chude. Morning. Go ahead. Your comments.
Good morning, and with your guest in the studio.
Good morning, Chude.
Morning.
Just like the last speaker said, I don't know, but one thing very clear to me is that the president is in bed with Mahmoud Yakub, and the INEC is in bed with APC. It's very clear.
Why do you say so, Chude?
Yeah, because they are dictating he who dictates the tune. If you are the one playing the pipe, you dictate the tune. He's the one that is in charge. He's incumbent. And people are not, and I'm not talking, that is why I say so. So for INEC to come out and say that he doesn't have powers to regulate billboard, adverts, campaign, INEC is actually lying. Because if you say you have no constitutional backing, the law did not. If you say there is no constitutional backing, then write it and leave the law, the courts, to interpret the law. If the constitution did not favor you, but this is the right thing to do. Do the right thing. Let the court say you did the wrong thing. Even 3 months into this administration, Bola Ahmed Tinubu started campaigning in Abuja everywhere. His billboard is everywhere. The president of all persons. So he is the architect. He is the initiator. And you tell me that Yakub did not see all these things because it's Mr. President's picture or party. Yakub did not see any fault in that. And the opposition are watching. You see, this country has gotten to a time Nigerians should be on the street.
Anyway, thanks for calling, Chude. Just to quickly mention that in April this year, the president had called on his supporters to stop campaigning. He had told them clearly that they should stop unauthorized re-election campaigns. That was sometime 4 months ago. But you made a very strong assertion that, I mean, anybody would want to look at. You said he's a sycophant. I mean, that's a name that has really been used during this administration, where we see people who will go all out, knowing fully well that something is wrong. It's against the law. They don't not governed by the law.
They don't even mean what they say.
They don't even mean what they say. They just want to say because they're current favor or something.
And some of these billboards are expensive. They almost half of the stretch of 3rd Mainland Bridge. I'm glad that you could testify to it. Those things cost money.
So, sir.
But let's, sorry to
today I think our lights are blazing hot.
Mohammed from Abuja, please go ahead and speak to us.
We can't hear you clearly, Mohammed.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
I'm Mohammed from Abuja.
Go ahead, Mohammed. How is Abuja? Are there still campaign materials?
Are you seeing posters and billboards everywhere?
No.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, please.
No. There's nothing like that. I just want to chip in for our own contribution. Hello?
Go ahead. We can hear you. You have the floor. Go ahead.
See, the INEC, the Independent National Electoral Commission, is bad, seriously. Because if we check the system of Nigeria, we can't even be electoral. We can't even understand where the INEC or where he's driving us. Because the policy that he will make today, it will be different with the policy that he will come up tomorrow. So actually we are even confused. And thank God for the ADC, they came out with their new policy. If you check it, APC wants to make Nigeria one-party system. And it's not going to be possible. Actually, because even we in Nigeria, we are hungry with the way APC are driving us. So we just pray that the needful will be done. Since that ADC has come on board now, even them too, they have their mind, they even have they are scared. So that is just it. So we just pray that the needful will be done. That is my contribution.
Thank you very much, Mohammed.
Everything seems to be around INEC this morning, and I think it's necessary for me to exonerate them when necessary and make people understand why nobody seems to trust INEC at this point in time. The first thing is that what the man said, what the INEC chairman said, is the fact that these people are acting against the law. But the book is not clear on the punishment against this set of people. Are you not surprised? The question is that we keep talking about reviewing the Electoral Act. So nobody has looked into the part that says that if anybody campaign outside of the 150 days before election that is stipulated, that this is what's going to be done to the person.
I'm sure it's part of the discussion.
So
it's left for the National Assembly
to now say, oh, okay, this is what. But again, you will see that there are areas where there's punishment here and there that nothing has happened. For example, campaign is supposed to be budgeted for. When I ran for office, I went back to INEC and said, this is the amount of money I spent. In most cases, you discover that the winning party will never go back,
of course,
to say that this is the amount of money.
Because they always
you
go
are even
beyond
supposed to declare the donations that came in, so that you fall within the ambit of that maybe 2 or 5 billion that you're supposed to spend as president. But you know what the case is? A governor ran that I was privy to in Southwest here for governor. On the day of election, they spent 2.5 billion naira. On the day of election. The calculation was very simple.
I mean, campaigns have stopped. So what is that money for?
So they were targeting 500,000 naira vote. And in the conversation that they had, it's that, okay, let us put 5,000 naira to each vote. By the time they put that money together, it amounted to this amount of money. In fact, it was a little above this money. And they had to be giving people, either physically, strategically, or in connivance with people that are working there on the day of election.
So that's basically
every vote got is bought. Every vote got. And you know, I've come here the other day.
The person
I don't even have, yes, he won. I don't even have the moral right to complain about it.
Will he lose before?
I don't even have the moral right.
Could outspend him?
No, I don't even have the moral right to complain about it. Because members of my family took from the money. And that's how it's done. So we can concentrate on areas where, okay, laws are silent here. What about areas where laws are?
So what's the punishment for not declaring campaign funding?
Okay, so these are some of the things that we need to, we never get to know what INEC says about it. So now, one of the reasons why people don't trust INEC, and I said it because I've worked with them, and I said that they are trying their best within the context of working with a politician. If you work with a politician in Nigeria, especially if that politician has the privilege of appointing you, sir, you go sweat. you will sweat. So within what is available, I think they are doing their best. The major blunder that they made that will make it very, very difficult for anybody to trust them is the blunder of 2023. When the chairman had come out, because I believe him, he had come out to say, oh, we are going to transmit election electronically, and you did in one, and you went quiet in the other. And you know that Nigerians, either right or wrong, are more concerned about their presidency than any other election. It's a wrong mindset too, because you should ordinarily be more concerned about who your governor is, who your local government chairman is. That's where the blunder comes from, and that's why you see that everybody is blaming INEC.
Let's take Daily Trust. On the front page of Daily Trust, EFCC quizzes Mele Kyari over $7.2 billion refinery fund. I want us to take a look at that story.
And then, as a follow-up to that, there's hard questions, honest answers. There's a statement from Mele Kyari, the former GMD of NNPC. He says, I've done my part. The EFCC must do theirs. When each of us do our duty without fear or favor, with honor, respect, and commitment, Nigeria moves forward. What's your take on the EFCC? Some other newspapers say grills Mele Kyari. Daily Trust says quizzes. So he's going to answer for this 7.2 billion refinery fund. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
And as we speak, it's not refining anything.
None is working.
$7.2 billion.
So, if you put the total capacity of all our refineries together, we are a little less than 500,000 barrels per day.
So Dangote is doing more than the collective.
The collective. That's our capacity.
If they were working at full capacity.
Yes. So now, when you look at that amount, 7.2 billion, that's 35% of the $20 billion that Dangote used to build this refinery. We have spent 35% of what Dangote used to build an entire on-tap turnaround maintenance. Turnaround maintenance. You see, each year there's a budget that runs into billions. That is sometimes you will not see it in the federal budget because NNPC seems to be totally different from the Nigerian, their own world. They keep their own money and all of that. This thing happens here and now and then at every point in time. And the seriousness of any government, a government can come and say, oh, you know, and say, oh, we are not corrupt, we are trying to make Nigeria good. And I say the first way to know whether your government is working for you is what it does with NNPC. As we have it today, we can talk about the non-oil sector, which is fantastic. We can talk about all the agri sector and all of those things. But if the people cannot relate to what you are doing with your NNPC, you see, NNPC
but NNPC's troubles didn't even start with this administration.
We're not even talking about this administration.
Why is this so special? Is there a spiritual problem? What is really going on with NNPC? And what's the situation? Because we keep spending money on turnaround maintenance, and it seems how can a whole government not deal with something as very important as NNPC.
So when you talk about leadership, there are 5 P's of leadership. The first one is priority. The priority of leadership in the past years have shown that they do not even want NNPC to be transparent. At least you have a president who is Minister for Petroleum. How much do you know about it, about NNPC at that point? You didn't know nothing about it. So the priority of leadership over the years has shown to us that they don't even want anybody to know. That's why I'm even still happy that at least we are talking about EFCC quizzing or grilling or investigating.
What are your expectations of this grilling and quizzing? What should come out of it? And what responsibility does the EFCC have for Nigerians to keep us updated on this?
Before you answer, let's take Abosede. We have a caller. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Yeah, this is Abosede calling. Please, my own contribution is that whether INEC is doing a good thing or not, once we have the better system of INEC, Billboard will not come and elect the president for us. If they lie, let them put billboards on the street, on churches. Billboard will not speak. It is people that will speak. If they lie, let them to put billboards everywhere. Nigerians are not blind. They know who to vote for. The hungry on ground is too much. Thank you.
Thank you. You're saying that INEC should be transparent and let the votes count, that it's not by billboard. If they lie, they should put billboard everywhere. Nigerians know where the pain is and they will decide who they will vote for. So they will not be influenced by billboards.
Okay, we hope so. That can only happen, unfortunately, if the most important sector of our economy sees politics as the most important thing to do. For example, if you do presidential election today, maybe the total number of people that will go out, maybe 30% or 25% of your population. Out of that 25% of your population, 90% of them are illiterate, who don't even want to know. They just want to go there. Can you give me money and I'll vote? Yeah. But as we have begun to talk about election, INEC and all of these things now, I believe that is going to drive more conversation that will lead more people into coming out to exercise their franchise and not just hide in the house. So okay. I love that.
I think we should take a look at the Punch newspaper. 2027, we've talked about this. Police INEC move against early campaigns. PDP, ADC accuse APC of violating rules, calls for penalties. IG vows to enforce laws. APC denies campaigning, says Tinubu's respect rule of law. NNPC urges caution. FG rakes in 600 billion naira VAT from Facebook and others. I mean, the federal government says they've met their revenue targets. It's good times. They are going to get December rice and oil and beans. So it's going to be a very good December for government workers, I hope, since they've met all revenue targets. Reps drew Edom Bagudu over 2024-2025 budget delays. That's the coordinating minister of the economy and also minister of budget and national planning. Sad news here. Yobe holds mass burials as bandits kill 84. Just the other day, in what state was it? That there was another terrorist attack. In the space of 1 week, we've had over 150 Nigerians. I mean, this is conservative estimates that have been killed as a result of terrorism and bandit attacks. And we seem to be desensitized. It's just the news is just in one corner there. Yeah. And people are going about their daily activities. What has happened to our humanity? Even opposition is tired of crying. And, you know, it's a huge number, yeah, 84.
It is a huge number. And the essence of government, you and I, we agree that first, it's about security of life and property. And we have said this repeatedly. But again, I also want to lay emphasis. You know, we talked about it. I don't know whether it was the last time I came here, we talked about state police and all of those things. And I don't want a situation where we will also raise governors who will have more money, who will just wash their hands off and say, oh, we can't control nothing, and as a result of that, we cannot do anything. I don't want a situation like that. Security actually is a responsibility of the people and their government. But it's also the people, the responsibility of government to be able to rally reasonable number of the people to be able to see this thing as being wrong. The problem is that there are a lot of people that are benefiting from this process of terror. I said it the other day, and it's very easy to say, oh, Fulani headsmen. And I say, why government, let me begin from this. Security is not about the event. Insecurity is not about the event. What makes a community secure or insecure is not just about the fact that they are killing people. It's about the fact that there's a response to whatever happens in the community. I don't know whether you get it. Now, for example, we say that
preparedness to deal with any
situation. Yes, any situation that happens. But when you are now too relaxed and you do not deal with situation, what you have told the people is that go and buy franchise into the crime. So you talk about Fulani header. Because nobody is dealing with them decisively, locals, people in the community, will now buy franchise into the crime. They will start kidnapping. They kidnapped my friend's brother. The ransom was paid in Ibadan, under the bridge. Broad daylight. I'm talking about 2 months ago. Inside Ibadan, broad daylight, they had to come and pay the ransom in Ibadan.
And they collected the ransom and moved.
They collected the ransom and moved. At least I'm involved in this. My little change is also involved. So in broad daylight, so everybody, and when we're having the conversation, they say, oh, the people were talking like Fulani headers. I say, go and sit down. People are just buying franchise into this crime. It's a convenient kind of excuse
to blame everything on.
Blame everything.
It's a business
and why did that happen? In fact, I was reading that a traditional ruler in a community, they found an amount of money in his account. It was in the newspaper in Kwara State. So everybody is just buying to this. And why? It's because government is seemingly relaxed.
We're not dealing with it decisively.
They are not dealing with it. And the governors, they must wake up. When you continue to wait, and I think I've said it before, when you continue to wait that, oh, you are expecting the constitution to be changed, you are expecting a special law to be created before you do something, God forbid, they will have done something bad to your state. I told you about...
What do you make of the Zamfara State Governor's remarks about knowing the location of bandits and criminals in the state?
Okay, so, and this is a bit very sensitive. It's sensitive because of the fact that he's expressing some of the frustration that has become the mindset of the governors. It may not be in reality.
And some of the helplessness.
That has become their mindset. Sir, if you are ready to tackle, if helplessness has not become your mindset, and you are ready to get things done, you will get it done. Let me tell you a story of what happened on those states. Anoba had come to Akure from a place called Ifon to do the monthly traditional rulers meeting. And on his way back to his domain, he was killed. He was murdered. It was ridiculous. And the sitting governor then was alarmed. And he tried. I'm supporting the frustration, and I want to attack the helplessness. Supporting the frustration, the sitting governor, former governor Akeredolu, was really, really very angry. And he made effort. The effort led to the release of credible intelligence that was communicated to Abuja. He was frustrated in Abuja. I can say this because I know a bit of it. And he came back home. Instead of him to accept the helplessness
and the frustration.
And you understand, what he did is to empower his own Amotekun. Amotekun cannot carry AK-47 as it is.
Yeah.
But of course, their presence is still driving.
It's a deterrent.
Yes, yeah. Their presence is still discouraging community people from buying into the franchise. The complexity that has happened in our community now is that you are not even dealing with bandits again. You are dealing with your brothers and sisters.
So you don't know who really is who.
Who are reporting you, who are telling the bandits to come and pick you up. What Amotekun has done is to have discouraged that. Though it can't stop, it cannot face the AK-47 of the bandit, but it can discourage the locals from buying into the criminal franchise.
Absolutely.
Very interesting conversation on the front pages. Hopefully, I mean, I'm full of hope today, so I'll be using hopefully because, no, serious. And it's purpose. I'm doing it on purpose. It's not a strategy, but I'm hoping
so you say
things
renewed hopefully.
No.
It's good to be optimistic. I mean, I'll rather see
I'm
the
optimistic.
glass half.
Tomorrow I'll use optimistic. Optimistically, I will have Mr. Dr. John back again next week. But thanks for your calls. Thanks to all those who contributed. And thanks for watching. We'll be here again tomorrow. My name is Joe Hansen.
And I'm Benga Borough, and I'd like to say Happy New Year. It's 2018 to the beautiful people of Ethiopia as they celebrate brand new year today. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. I thought you were going to say something.